Jason, come on up, I'll introduce you. Oh, we should turn these things on too, yeah. Testing, testing. Sit right there, that way the camera will see you more than it'll see me.
Sure.
Jason was raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. His family, he was actually raised by a family of wolves and a couple of muskrats, I believe, who are in-laws.
I like muskrats.
Yeah, they're good. Actually, Jason's an independent animator who lives here in Los Angeles. Designed and supervised the sequences you saw. It's about 20 minutes worth of the film, I think.
Yeah, just about
that.
Yeah.
And his first animated short, The Renter, was completed in 2011. Received numerous awards, including an Annie Award nomination, which is from ASIFA. Did you go that year?
Yeah, I did.
Did you wear a tuxedo?
No, but I wore a suit.
Yeah, for you. Yeah, that's good. That's good for you.
Yeah.
Commercially, Jason has overseen animation design for TV commercials, television shows, a variety of interactive experiences for clients such as Disney, Universal, ASICS, the Kids WB, and Sesame Street, as well as concept work for museums and theme parks around the world. And has a master's degree, which means that when you can give all this up in teaching and get tenure if you want.
Yeah.
And his master's degree from Cal Arts. So everybody, Jason Carpenter. Now the way I generally do this is I get to ask the first question because that's my prerogative. Don't anybody say different. And then after that, I'd like to open the questions up to what you'd like to ask because that's the most important thing. So the obvious question is, how did this happen? Were you at home and you got a phone call and somebody said, we're doing this documentary on Malala and how'd you like to do the animation or what?
Sort of. Well, I was at work and I got a phone call, actually an email, and it was someone from Davis's office, who's a good friend now. But
Davis Guggenheim.
Davis Guggenheim, yeah. And so I just got this email. I was working. It was late one night at the studio, and I was, trying to finish the thing. I got this email. It's like, Malala Yousafzai documentary. And Davis Guggenheim's office. I read it, and she was like, we're interviewing people for animation from Malala. How would you like to come in and talk to us about it? I was like, sure, after like 5 minutes. It could take long to get back about that one. So they see my short film, The Renter. That's how they contacted me. I set up an interview for maybe a week later to go meet Davis. I expected to get to the studio, and there were, 100 people outside, all the animators I could think of, lined up outside the building. I was going to have 5 minutes or something like that. And it was 3 or 4 hours, and we just sat and we talked about animation and talked about art and talked about film and all these different things and about what the animation of Malala could be and what it should be and how you put animation in a live action film and all this stuff. And from there, I started sort of just pitching, different styles of animation, did animation tests. Found an animation producer, Irene, who couldn't be here. Put together a team that we put together a team that we could pitch. It's like, these are the animation people, these are the animators, these are the artists I'd like to have. And then, after a couple months, got a green light on the job and then moved ahead. And from there we started making it.
Well, I'm sure you all have many questions, so I'm going to ask for hands right in the front.
So who decided on that style? Was that a joint decision, or were you, or they told you how did that?
Oh, that's a good question. Sure. So, I think when Davis envisioned the animation in the very beginning, he always talked about it being a storybook. So, in a lot of ways, the animation deals with Malala's memories, her father's memories, what their dreams are, what their wishes are, those types of things. So it has a bit of fantasy to it. It's sort of tied to the real world, obviously. So it was a matter of finding an animation that represented that style. So we wanted something that was soft and more pastel, but it was also ideally animation that really supported the view of a girl, and a girl from Pakistan, and Pashtun, all these different parts of, that make her who she is. And so we tried to make it her view. And so it, that's a lot of how it became the way that it is. And it took a lot of weeks and months to kind of get it that way. But it's also a matter of how it cuts with live action, so it has a soft kind of calming quality in respect because live action is very different, and so it's trying to make the two kind of blend and work as a whole.
Did she see it before the movie?
Oh, did Malala see it? Oh, yeah, she saw parts of it all along. So we'd send stuff to Malala and Zia, her father, and we'd get feedback, and usually wasn't the kind of thing where she'd say, oh, I don't like the animation or something. It was, right? She'd say, oh, my house had 3 windows instead of 2, or, my room was blue, and, that kind of thing. So, it was neat. So they did see it along the way, so it wasn't a total surprise when the film came out. It was like, I look like what? And,
Okay, we're going to go right here, and then we'll come up there. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
First of all, I want to say the image is absolutely stunning. I thought it worked perfectly with the documentary. I was curious about what the production time frame was. Do you have how large of a team you have?
Sure. So production-wise, we actually started in earnest, I would say, in January 2013. And then it would have, what years now? Yeah, so it's all right, yeah.
It's getting close to the end of that.
Right. It's like, what's happening? So it all said it was 18 months. So whichever it was, yeah. I mean, we started with like a team of maybe 4 people, and then from there we kind of build up. So once we hit the summertime, we had a team maybe as big as like 15 people or so. And so the idea was we get the style locked down first. We kind of get part of the story locked down, and we work with a lot of animatics and have this kind of cut into film as Davis worked. And making animation for documentaries is completely different. We never had a script. We never had pieces that were absolutely certain until very close to the end. And so we were kind of retaining as much creative flexibility as we could for ourselves and for Davis. But then at the end of the summer, we kind of shrunk down a little bit more and, probably finished up the project with 5 or 6 people. But, it's interesting because, like, we definitely, like, I remember getting the original end date was, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was maybe 2 months before when we finished. We were originally shooting for Sundance, and I remember getting, like, doing a storyboard, like, the day before we were supposed to deliver, it's just, so as we got closer to the end, it's like we were able to do things more quickly and kind of be more flexible in our process, and, it's a neat way of working, so.
Pretty unique as far as doing an animated project.
Yeah, it was. We sort of did it backwards a little bit. I mean,
storyboards last.
Yeah, it's like storyboards. Yeah, I mean, it really was. I mean, so we couldn't board out the whole thing, So we would board out. There are 11 sequences in all. We'd board them all out individually, and there's some that never made the film, and there are pieces that never made the film. But we tried to figure out as much as we could ahead of time before we hit the button where we just had to make it. Because it takes a certain amount of time and you had no choice. You just had to go. But, yeah.
There was a question back in the back there. Somebody had their hand up. Yes? Okay. Other hands. Sure, right there.
Did the project grow as you went along, or was it about the scope you had originally discussed, or how did that change?
Sure. So originally, like when we talked to Davis in the beginning about doing the project, it was 15 minutes of animation. That's sort of what we had budget for, and so I think in the end there is a point where we might have had as much as 25 minutes. I mean, I think we probably made 25, 27 minutes of animation in the finished film. As Rick was saying, I think there were maybe 20 minutes of finished animation. So it did. I mean, I think a lot of putting animation in this film. I mean, it was different than any other project I've worked on. A lot in terms of the process, the production. It's like working to the way a documentary is structured and so forth. But I think part of that is that we were proving whether the animation would work or not. So like the first part of what we did was to put animation out there and be like, does this work? Does it work in the film? It's like you cut it back and forth and you're like, okay. And then I think as Davis felt more comfortable at how it fit with the story, it's like, oh, we could do this animated, we could do this animated. So it was really cool that we could kind of all be under one room and one roof. And I think because of that, we got animated parts that we wouldn't have had otherwise. We were able to do things and respond to creative decisions quickly in a way we couldn't have otherwise. And we got something we wouldn't have made if we'd done it any other way, which to me was a pretty special thing.
Why do you think that they decided on animation in the first place? What was the idea behind it when they first called you?
Sure. I think a lot of it, I think there's something to the way that Malala speaks about her past, and even Zia, but it's like, even in the intro, it's like, when you hear, Davis ask her, it's like, tell me a story, and she starts the story. There's something about the way she speaks that it almost feels like a fairy tale. So I think that when he starts a film, he starts with audio-only interviews. And so, he doesn't go into the camera, he's in there, and he's just recording what she's saying. And I think that's maybe when he thought, no, this is a fairy tale, this is a story, so it felt more like it should be animated.
Another question? Anybody have one? I already asked. There you go. Oh, wait a minute. I might getting questions from the two people already asked. Anybody who hasn't asked a question yet, then I'll come back to you. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to ask now, the music, were you working with music afterwards, or did you know to work with the music?
Sure, yeah. So the music was all done afterwards. We had temporary stuff that we worked with, and we had tracks from Thomas Newman's other films and things. Is essentially kind of what we used. But the animation was really done without sound at all. I mean, it was done. I mean, we just focused basically on the story and then on the timing of the animation itself and the visuals. But it was honestly like almost without audio until the end. We had our temp tracks and such, but all that stuff kind of came later. Yeah.
You didn't have the narration or anything like that, or temp narration.
We sometimes had, we would have temp narration sometimes, but it's interesting. Like, I think partly because we did all the animation in Flash, like it was all 2D. We drew all this stuff in Flash, honestly, and part of that was because there are other ways we could have done it, and other ways we could have drawn it, but all the artists already knew Flash, so it's like, oh, well, that saved us like how many months of learning, so we could just kind of hit the ground running. But because of that, there are all these kind of technical deficits that so like getting the right audio. And the other thing that's really interesting is that we were working on animation. There's a live action, there are 3 editors working on this film that are editing the film. And the two things have to live in this world together. And so shipping stuff off to the editors and having to come back, there's always this thing of having 2 versions and all this kind of stuff. So they continually had the audio, they continually had the updated stuff. And so we'd go see a cut, and they would have that stuff in their room. But on our side, on our our IMAX and whatnot, it was kind of better to leave that stuff so that it kind of stayed pure on that side of the building, if that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Oh, 2.
Oh, boy.
No. Wait a minute.
Real brief. I'm curious about your use of reference footage because
Oh, yeah.
it just really looked authentic. And also, I thought I had heard that you used TV Paint. Is that true?
Oh, TV Paint. Oh, I like TV Paint. We actually didn't. We played around with 2 different things. One of the concept artists, he's Spanish. He lives in Barcelona now, but he refused to use Photoshop, which is hilarious. I love him. He's great, but he's like I have to use some other. I can't remember what it is now.
Sketchbook.
Yeah, right. Maybe Sketchbook or like Manga Studio or something. But he was sort of fastidious in his use of that. So it was all Flash, Photoshop, Adobe the whole way through. A lot of like timeline Photoshop stuff, tons of After Effects, but all kind of made Wacom tablets and IMAX. In terms of the reference stuff, I wish Irene was here to talk about it. I mean, so much of what we did, so much of like what was important, I think, is that Malala, like her family, these are real people, and they're real people that we respect, and it was a special project to be involved in any number of ways, but to be asked to try to represent their lives and their message in animation was I mean, it could be a tricky one, and so we spent a lot of time looking at what their house was like, what their school was like, all kinds of things, and I think that's it was such an incredible part of it because with the style that we picked, we tried not to do too much detail. We had all these images before, before this were like way more detailed. You see faces, you see all kinds of things. And what we learned is that the more stuff we put in with this film, the more stuff we put in, the more we got it wrong. And the reason is because as Westerners, as people who live in Los Angeles, making a film about people in Pakistan or who now live in Birmingham, but we don't get the right details in the film. We get the details that appear to appeal to us, but it's easy to pick the wrong thing. And so that's part of the reason it's soft and diffuse is that you try to get an atmosphere, you get an idea. You want the town that Torpakai, Malala's mother, grew up in to be, relevant to her town. Or where Zia grew up. You want to feel like that place. You want to connect to it emotionally. But it was about setting up that mood, that feeling, and then stopping. I'm not going so far as to all the little details. It starts to kind of make it. You gotta kind of get it wrong, which is just so it's a strange thing. But we researched a ton, and we learned that they're action figures for the Battle of Naywan in the beginning. It's like crazy stuff, that you learn. So, but everything from the books they use to the, Torpakai again. It's like when you're at her school, we had a version where they were sitting at these benches, and she's like, no, we sat on the floor, and so sitting the floor. It's like what the windows look like, what the light looked like. The rooms are always really dark because there aren't lights inside. You know, the electricity is always on and off. You know, the kinds of cars, every little thing. It was a big. It was really important.
I think it paid off, but it really resonated. It was so authentic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Did you do the whole thing in LA? The animation?
Yeah.
It's all done here.
We did. It was actually all done in Venice, yeah. And I think that's one of the other things I think was unusual is we Davis actually made room in his studio, so we had how many square feet it is, but you know, 2 big rooms. We brought everyone in that space. Irene and I and the coordinator kind of shared a nook, and then all the artists kind of worked around. But it was all like right off out of Kinney, essentially.
Was Davis in and out?
Yeah. So I mean, it's Davis' studio, so Davis would just walk in, you know, and he'd walk. You know, it's like or you have to set up a meeting for him to come by, you know, that kind of thing. But no, it's great, and that's a lot of what was nice about it. It was just so collaborative. I mean, we were able to all make this together, and obviously he was a huge part of the animation as well. But I mean, he would just drop by. He could see stuff. He could see us working on a pencil test in Flash. He could see something finished, but I think because of that, you know, because of his process, I think we still got things that are different, and you know, if we worked in a way, what we got because of the way we worked. It was very like process oriented.
Okay, Dish. Any big fights?
I'm trying to think. Like it's funny, like when you get a bunch of animators in a room, what happens? Usually, it's pretty chilled. I mean, it's all pretty good. I mean, like nothing crazy. I mean. Trying to think. I mean, there were some awkward moments where people like didn't want to like bump chairs and.
No, I didn't like fights with Davis or fights with the producers or anything like that. Or Irene had a hemorrhage one day.
Oh God! Right? That'd be so bad, right? Oh no.
Oh, the chillest person I know.
Oh, there were things like I know, right? There were definitely things like I remember there's one part when Irene came in and we've been animating these books for like a week. This beautiful shot of like they're opening the books on the floor and feeling really good about it and all that kind of stuff. And she's like, you know, the books are opening the wrong way. Oh. She's like, yeah, just, you know, it's like they should.
I've done that.
It's like, oh, good point. So we flipped the shot.
Got it. Sure.
I'm just curious.
Sure.
You mentioned you were working at a studio when you got the job offer. So when this thing finally kicked in full, was
Yeah.
it a full-time gig for you and your team, or were they, you know, would people come and go, or somebody did a day job and come in and work tonight? I'm just kind of curious as to how much you were able to really like create a unit and have those guys in the same building for a good amount of time.
It's a great question. I mean, it worked really well. I mean, fortunately, the job that I was on and I got called, I think I was finishing like the next week or something. So I was like, well, this is great. But no, it's true. I mean, it's kind of hard to pull and meet people together for that amount of time. I think that out of our 15 people, I would say that probably 8 of them at least run it for a year, close to it. And it was pretty tight. We had people who came in and, you know, we have maybe a compositor come work for 2 weeks, or we have a compositor work for a week, you know, as we're finishing, or, you know, someone might work for a month, kind of in and out, or we had a couple who went back to school, you know. But as a whole, it's like everyone, and they're all college grads too, so that's the other thing as well, is that a lot of them already knew each other. And a lot of them had been in Irene's class or Paul's class, or, you know, it's like, hey, I'd met before. So we had this. The other thing that was nice about it is we could also kind of hit the ground running in that respect. It's like everybody, it was a familiarity amongst people. So, but no, they mostly just kind of stuck around and it became a pretty tight knit group. I mean, that was unusual too. And you know, the thing that was also, again, there are a lot of things I find special, but each one of these artists was an independent artist in their own right. And each one of them has incredible films out there, and you know, are really someone to respect on their own, but all together, it's just a really kind of amazing thing to have a room like that. And each one was required to be flexible to this process. And, you know, it's like we skipped things and spent more time on other parts. And so it was a little untraditional in some ways. And we all had to kind of jive with that, which was great. It was good for all of it.
I think the last question, anybody have a last one? Yes, right here.
Did you ever met Malala, the actress?
The question is, because you have a very soft voice, did he ever meet Malala? Did you?
I did, yeah. She came to the studio in the summertime, and we all met her. And so we had lunch, and she came and saw the animation, or what we had done at that point. And just had a couple hours together, and we all took a nice group picture, and she went off to the next big thing she was doing. But yeah, we did. We made her. It was neat. It was really special. And her father came, and her mother came.
But not the two Brady brothers.
Not the two Brady brothers. I would love to meet the Brady brothers. I know they're really.
A couple of questions. You've read the reviews,
Sure.
and the reviews are great,
Oh, thanks.
especially about the animation. The reviews are all about, would animation fit? Yes, it fits. It works. It does what you were supposed to do. What's next for you?
For me, well, currently Davis is interested in doing more animation, so we're starting a little company called Little Room, and we're developing a couple new projects right now. I'm just actively pursuing the next thing. I mean, it was really neat to me to be able to work on something that had such a message. I feel like that's a rare thing on any job and anywhere, right? But in animation, it's like it's rare as well. So hopefully more animation with meaning and message behind it. That's what I'd love.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we all enjoyed this movie, learned a lot, and really enjoyed talking with you, Jason.
Thank you.
So thank you all.
So much. Thanks for coming.